Oh, wait. Oh, hey, what's up, guys? I don't even have my recording thing. It's not even recording. Okay, here we go. Now we're recording. Now you guys can hear me nice and clear. Hi, everybody. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another TLG gaming topic commentary. Okay, today is really exciting because I'm going to talk about something that I've been wanting to talk about for a hot, stinky minute. But before we begin, let me apologize if I look a little bit under the weather. Who am I kidding? Okay, I look fantastic. That's just a fact. But what are we talking about today? Well, today, okay, hold up, my titty itches. Let me get that real quick. Today, we're going to be talking about Mortal Kombat. Now, as many of you know, I'm a huge fan of Mortal Kombat. The new game is getting ready to come out, so I figured, hey, you know, everybody, kind of wants to know a little bit more about Mortal Kombat. Everybody should know more about Mortal Kombat. So I'm going to break down a little bit of the history for you, kind of, let you know what's Gucci, okay? So in the early 90s, you had a lot of fighting games that were starting to become very popular within an arcade, such as Street Fighter II and Fatal Fury, and these games were starting to create a brand new culture in the world of competitive gaming. So in 1991, game developers Ed Boon and Tobias decided to team up and take over the world. Okay, well that took a little bit of time. But when they originally started, they wanted to make a fighting game for Jean-Claude Van Damme. Thank you God that didn't happen. No offense to you, Van Damme. Okay, you're cool. We should hang out sometime. Call me, you have my number. Okay, I apologize for what happened last time. But what set Ed Boon and Tobias apart from the other developers was they were utilizing digitalized photographs. Now, if you don't know what this is, basically just look at the image that you see right now on your screen, and all that essentially is a photograph of a person wearing a costume that they've digitalized and create motion with within a video game. Ooh, revolutionizing the game. So with that being said, they ended up developing Mortal Kombat 1 instead of that wannabe Jean-Claude Van Damme game, and in 1992, they released it into arcades, and it was a massive success because people started playing that more than they were Street Fighter. And really the main reason for that was people really... Oh, God. Excuse me, let me restart that. No, but seriously, the main reason for that was people really loved how gory and brutal Mortal Kombat was, because I think the real cause of it is that everybody on the inside is a little nasty. Okay? We're all a little bit nasty. The other reason it was so successful is because you could tell your parents you were going to the arcade. You say, hey, Ma, I'm going to the arcade. Oh, okay, honey, have fun playing whack-a-mole and shooting your little basketballs. But really, you were ripping the spinal cord out from a human body. What Mama don't know don't hurt her, okay? So you remember that. But the next big move for Mortal Kombat was to release on the home entertainment consoles. So on September 13th, dubbed as Mortal Monday, in 1993, Mortal Kombat released for the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo. However, it was not all gravy steaks and mashed potatoes, okay? Let's just make that clear. Because what happened was the game was actually being censored by Sega and Nintendo. The Sega Genesis version was way freaking better, okay? And that's because all they did was censor some of the blood that was in the game. But the Super Nintendo version was absolutely stupid. And I'll tell you why. They actually changed the color of the blood to gray in order to knock it off as being sweat. Now, I don't know about you, but my sweat is not a thick, oily, gray consistency. That is just disgusting. And if your sweat is like that, you need to go to a hospital. And it made the game look absolutely ridiculous, and they also took out some of the fatalities, which is just absurd. But the coolest thing about the Sega Genesis version was you could actually put a code into the game that uncensored everything. ABACABB. Okay, I've got that memorized. I might have been an infant, okay? But I was getting grimy on some Mortal Kombat. So yes, the game came out and pleased fans everywhere because of the new ESRB rating system that allowed for mature content to be put on mature games. So it kind of added a responsibility for the parents of the world to say, hey, you have to determine whether or not you want your kid to be playing this. So then following that, in the summer of 1995, one of the greatest things to ever occur in the history of the freaking world happened, and the Mortal Kombat movie came out. This movie was one of the best things ever made, and if you don't agree with that, then you could just leave. Let me give you a few seconds to leave the premises, okay? Alright, but the movie did really well in the box office, grossing over $124 million, which is really good for just a $24 million budget. And really, following the release of the movie, that's when the franchise started to decline. And that's mainly because they were competing against 3D video games. Now, their game engines were made to develop 2D graphics, and that's what everyone loved about them. So even though Mortal Kombat 3 and 4 sold a lot of copies, it wasn't meeting expectations for investors, and they basically had to completely revamp the franchise. But don't get me wrong, I loved Mortal Kombat 3 and 4, so let's just put that on the table for everyone to waft. Okay. So basically, knowing that they had to develop a brand new game engine to make these 3D games, that's exactly what they did, and they were able to put together something that really kept the feeling of Mortal Kombat, but of course in a three-dimensional world, and that's when they released Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Oh, it was fantastic! It really got me, you know? It really touched me. For the first time, fans were able to use their favorite Mortal Kombat characters in a three-dimensional world, and it sold really well, over 1 million copies in the first 6 months. It came out in 2002, and that started the 2-year development cycle that really helped Mortal Kombat in the sense of money, because they were selling, you know, a large number of copies, but it also kind of contributed to the decline. As we see nowadays with a lot of video games, you're trying to pump out games as fast as possible to make a lot of money, but you're not necessarily taking the time that is required in order to kind of tighten up and polish over the video game. Then in October of 2004, Mortal Kombat Deception came out and really was using that same game engine that related to Soul Calibur and Dead or Alive. You know, it had a very similar feel, but it still, you know, with all the brutal moves and the gory graphics, it still felt like Mortal Kombat, and again, sold over 2 million copies. It really wasn't until Mortal Kombat Armageddon came out that fans, you know, kind of started to realize that Mortal Kombat needed to kind of revamp the franchise again, because they released Mortal Kombat freaking Armageddon with 60 characters on the roster. Who the fuck wants to play with 60 characters? As long as Rain is a playable character, the purple ninja, okay? That's all that matters. So, but because they put so much freaking time into developing a 60 character roster to please all of the Mortal Kombat fans, it kind of contributed to the lack of, you know, replayability, longevity, and even though the game sold, again, very well, that's mainly because just Mortal Kombat fans are the shit, and we're really gonna buy any Mortal Kombat game that you release. So quit taking advantage of that. But really, after Mortal Kombat Armageddon came out, that's when they realized, again, you know, we need to create a new engine, and we need to keep with, you know, today's standards, and we need to compete with these other fighting games, and they did just that, but they did it in a very strategic and brilliant move, and here's why. At the time, their publisher Midway was facing some financial struggles, if you will. Them motherfuckers was broke, okay? They were broke as a joke, all right? And Midway was getting ready to go out of business. So with that being said, they realized that their fans were basically comic book fans. Like, if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat, you're probably a fan of other comic book series and heroes. So they kind of played a strategic strategy, and they decided to create the game MK Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, where Mortal Kombat characters were fighting all of the DC comic book characters. And everyone thought that this was like the stupidest thing in the world until you played the fucking game and then you realized it was awesome. And that was the first time that people realized, like, damn, you can make a comic book fighting game that's really cool. But they did it for a specific reason, because what video game publisher also loves comic books? Warner Brothers Interactive. Oh, that's why. Oh, but yeah, dude, freaking Midway goes out of business. Mortal Kombat's like, we don't need you, all right? We just proved that there's a lot of comic book fans out there. So, oh, Warner Brothers Interactive, why don't you come on in? Yeah, go ahead and come on in. So yes, Warner Brothers Interactive acquired the publishing rights of the Mortal Kombat franchise from Midway for a significant amount of money, but they were able to team up with the newly developed NetherRealm Studios, which was now being headed by Boon, one of those original developers. And the reason why that studio really came about was because Tobias, you know, the other original developer, he ended up leaving the Mortal Kombat franchise. So they wanted to reboot the series, so they created NetherRealm Studios and acquired Warner Brothers Interactive. So Boon, being the freaking genius that he is, knew that he had to reboot the franchise. So he said, hey, Mortal Kombat 1 through 8 never even happened. Alright? So we just leave those alone. We're gonna release Mortal Kombat 1 again for the second time. But it was met with massive success. The game to this day is considered by a lot of critics to be one of the best fighting games of all time, and it ended up selling over 3 million copies. Plus, with that, all of the copies that they ended up selling actually paid for the acquisition of the Mortal Kombat franchise rights from Midway. So Warner Brothers Interactive made all of their money back just like that. That's awesome. Yeah, f you, Midway. But there you have it, guys. That is the history of Mortal Kombat. I know I probably didn't cover everything that some of the hardcore fans out there want, and by no means am I a freaking Mortal Kombat know-it-all freaking genius, okay? I don't know everything, but I love the franchise, and that's why I'm making this video for you guys. So if you want to know something else, or you just want to let me know what you think of Mortal Kombat, comment below. Go share the video with your friends and spread a little love by clicking that thumbs up button. And dude, seriously, if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, alright, why don't you just do it? Because, you know, you should. God. But thank you for tuning in, everybody. I'll see everyone here in a couple days. Alright, it won't be too long until you're seeing this beautiful face again. Alright, but keep living that life. Hold up. Because that's what thugs do, baby. Take it easy, guys.